Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Presiding Officer, first I'd like to commend Katie Clark for securing this members' debate, and also at the outset I'd like to remind the Chamber that my wife works part-time for CalMac. I've always felt it important to acknowledge this any time I take part in debates about CalMac, even though I'm not obligated to do so. I certainly would have thought that Katie Clark would have considered it appropriate to do likewise, bearing in mind her links to the TSA trade union, which is members who actually work at CalMac. I think it's all well and good challenging the Tories and their transparency and lack of, but the Labour Party must also do likewise. I'm sad to say that today's debate really is a non-debate, Presiding Officer, but I would be the first in line challenging my government if I believe for 1 minute CalMac was to be sold off or the network broken up. If either were to happen, they would have a negative impact upon Gourock in my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency. Gourock is the home and the HQ for CalMac, and a hugely important local employer in my constituency. I would not want to see any adverse effects in my constituency, and certainly if they were to be broken up or privatised, as has been reported by Katie Clark, this would have serious economic challenges in my constituency, challenges that we've had since the early 1980s due to failed UK government policies. Neither are going to happen. And while it's always important for parliamentarians to raise legitimate issues, scaremongering and causing alarm to the CalMac staff and the local community is nothing short of shameful. At First Minister's questions on the 3rd of February, the First Minister stated, and I quote, "I will be very clear in that commitment. We have no plans whatsoever to privatise public services ferries. And contrary to concerns that have been expressed in recent press reports, we have no plans whatsoever to split up the CalMac ferries network. Those ferry services are delivered through public contracts." The First Minister went on, however, to come back to the thrust of the question. "I did not seem to rule out privatisation, I ruled it out. I will say it again, we have no plans whatsoever for that. We will not privatise our public service ferries, and equally, we have no plans to split up the CalMac network. That is the Scottish Government's position, and we will continue to invest in our ferry network to give people on our islands at the service that they have every right to expect." End of quote. Saying also, during the ferries debate yesterday, I thought that the comments towards the end of Graham Simpson MSP's contribution were enlightening. He did seem to suggest that the network should be opened up to allow other companies to bid for routes. On the one hand, I can see why that may appear to be beneficial. However, breaking up the network would surely lead to the HQ being either shut or reduced in scale. Either way, that would lead to jobs in my constituency being lost and futures being wrecked. If that's what the Scottish Tories are offering my constituents, then I sincerely hope the population in my constituency give a clear message to the Tories in May. Ultimately, Presiding Officer, ferries will quite rightly be a political issue, irrespective as to who's actually the government of the day in Scotland. This is actually right. However, Labour's scaremongering about the future of the network and the Conservatives appearing to advocate dismantling the network highlights that neither Labour nor the Tory parties are fit to govern any time soon. CalMac itself does need to continue the improvement programme that it's on, and I warmly welcome this. Years of a lack of investment and a drive in the business has led to the business needing a major internal overhaul to make it fit for the present day. Ultimately, Presiding Officer, CalMac has a brand recognition which is second to none. It does need new ferries to help turn CalMac into the business we actually all want it to be. And finally, Presiding Officer, just want to make everyone in the Chamber aware that I've invited CMAL to come in to the Parliament, and they'll be coming in a few weeks' time, and I invite everyone to actually go along, talk to them, ask them questions, because they will have questions to ask them, and CMAL will also have answers they have to provide to colleagues from across the Chamber. And with that, thank you very much, Presiding Officer.